Hi, everybody. This is Tom. It's been a few months. How are you? This is Culture Chat, where we talk about theater and everything happening with it in the past, in the future, what could happen. Today is what could happen. So, to get right into it, this could be a long story, but let's not make a long video. I have been speaking with a company in Ireland, a theater in Ireland, about doing one of my plays. So I mostly direct, but I do playwright as well. And I first answered an ad where they wanted to direct, and then they heard I wrote plays, and they wanted to know why, and that kind of thing. So we're sort of in cahoots, and the office is very fun. And I can't mention who they are because, legal stuff. Um, so as we were still negotiating to hire me, which they can because I'm an Irish citizen, the subject of a new play that they were doing or wanted to do, they were still in the deciding phases, came up and they said, oh, it's too expensive. It takes place in Greece and we'll have to build a whole village. And I'm like, is it about a village? And they said no. And they brought up one of my favorite videos I've done of one of my favorite artists, Andreas Rousounelis. I believe that's right. Rousounelis? He will tell me. He is a brilliant miniature maker. He has done incredible things, and I can't say enough good stuff about him. And in my video, I was touting that you don't have to build an entire giant set. You can build a slice of a set. The section that you need, I called it the perfect slice. And it got a lot of views, which is great. And I was able to promote someone that I really believe in from Greece to the rest of the world. Hopefully the rest of the world. I know that I have a lot of viewers from Canada, New Zealand, Argentina, Chile, and hopefully he got some deals, some sales out of it. So they had seen this video. They were researching me, which was nice. And I said, well, tell me about the play. And a few more heads came into the video screen. I have two friends there, but I guess now I have about six. I said, well, what is it? And they said, well, it's a small cast. It's mostly a two-hander. But in the second act, in the first act, it's just two people, a grandfather and his son, talking about marriage. And the mistakes that happened in friends' marriages, relatives' marriages, and how this young man doesn't want to do this to his beloved, his girlfriend, because isn't just the word marriage and the contract signing just the kiss of death, which is a topic a lot of people talk about, how their lives changed and not for the better when they got married, which is strange, but hopefully if you're aware of that, whatever happens to other people, you can change it for yourself, which is what the grandfather is trying to say. So in the second act, the rest of the village is there at the reception. Now, there's not that many people. There basically is about 12 people. And what this company in Ireland wanted to do was somehow put this new play on, which is a risk. If it's an unknown title, an unknown author. And there were people that were eager to be in their company that were university students and older actors. And I thought it was a great idea. I thought they had a wonderful idea. It kind of goes with some of the videos I put out there about hiring older actors, asking people who always played ensemble, do you want to do something more? Tell me what you want. Not all directors and artistic directors and theaters and casting agents know what every actor wants. So in the reality, Andreas's models were perfect. And I said, look at his models. His models were, it is a Greek doorway, and it's on a round that's elevated, and he has beautiful tiles or beautiful stone, and the door is painted something traditional like green or blue, and it's whitewashed, maybe stucco, and that's all you need. If the majority of the play is just about this relationship, and the first act really does the driving, and in this one, it's mostly the first act who has the drive and the action and the character building and the character arcs, rather than everything happening in the second act, which is often what we see in plays and lots of musicals. The townspeople that come to the reception, they don't do much. It's mostly congratulations and some other very traditional Greek things to do, like the toasting and, dancing and so forth. And it's very beautiful. It's very community, which is wonderful. And I said, well, what is your main focus here? Doing it for cheap because it's new play. I said, well, do you want my 2 cents? And they're like, of course. That's why we're talking to you today, because they had rushed through the stuff about me and my play very quickly. And I said, what do you think as a director? And I said, all you need is this front door, this beautiful front door. And you need them to have some action. He said, oh, yes, we know there's not much built. There's not much written in. I'm like, build it in. Maybe the grandfather is very attracted to his plants, which is why I'm filming outside in front of my English yew. And he is tending towards this bougainvillea that's growing. And he's got his shears out, and he's doing trimming, he's cutting, he's taking things out. Now, you don't have to have a lot of money or ruin the beautiful bougainvillea that's fake on your set. He can reach in and pull out dead branches, cut them. There's things to do. The actor knows where to go. The grandson can bring him things, which is why I favor Andreas's models that have a side area with little shelves, and they can do planting, little potting together, probably geraniums. They're fairly commonplace in the Mediterranean, and you can have a bit. None of this is written in, but some busy work where it shows that the nurturing that the grandfather is doing to the grandson, he is also nurturing nature and plants, and perhaps as it progresses, every time the grandson comes in for another scene, because it's 3 scenes in the first act, he brings a plant. Maybe we have between the scenes that one of the geraniums on the side isn't doing so well, and he brings him another one, of a different color, some variety, some interest, and they plant these together. Not a lot of money, not a lot of set. You concentrate your set on this area, this focused area. There is a grandmother, but she is a businesswoman, and she's mostly inside yelling pretty hilarious one-liners, or she's off in Athens doing business. So grandfather's taking care of everything, and she only comes out as a character in the second act, and still mostly is, matriarchal in a wonderful way, but she's listening to the grandfather and not interrupting or belittling or correcting any of his advice. There is a bride. She mostly is rushed by the by the village people, the neighbors, and taken here, taken there, and run around. So she's more of a ha-ha kind of thing. Some kissing, some so forth. And she starts the dance, which I think is great. Now, they said, oh, the second act, we will need lots of stuff. I'm like, why do you need lots of stuff? If you want, you could have some chairs for the eldest members of the community that can come on and off the set easily. There doesn't have to be banquet tables or cafe tables or a ton of chairs. If this is just groups and there will be dancing and action, let's not spend money on stuff that we don't need, because the second act will be filled with people. And I know their theater has flexible wings, flexible sides. So I said, let's narrow in your masking or your wings if they're solid. I couldn't quite tell from the pictures. And bring them in, and your lighting focuses on this intimate space. Just grandfather and grandson in the first act. And then it opens up wider when there's community. And why are you building a whole village? And of course, what they were thinking, which is, I think, a lot of what many Americans and many UK people and Irish people, were the 2 countries I mostly work in. I'm so sorry. They think of Greece as mostly what a Santorini kind of place looks like. blue doors, multi-level sets, and so forth. And they were catching things in the script as we were speaking. And I said, well, where is it? And they said, they don't say. Where in Greece is it? They don't say. It's on one of the islands. That could be anywhere. And what is the reason that you think you have to spend money on this whole giant set when we're not getting any like party things with the neighbors coming out of a door on the side, doors on the side, neighbors coming out? The script basically has a few neighbors in the first act crossing with groceries or a bicycle or something. And there's like, hello, and that's about it. So they don't remain, and they don't come out of doors. And the reason for the neighbors crossing is to give a sense of community, but also to denote that they're sitting in a very public space in front of their house, and there is no privacy. So they, it's funny. They talk about something else. They talk about the weather or the plants they're working on or the bougainvillea. And it's the bougainvillea lines are very funny. It's blooming really well. Yes, really well. It's they're obviously talking about something private. And, Mrs. Katrakis walks by. Hello, darling. And, they're trying to hide whatever they're speaking about, which is serious topics. And it's very cute. They don't need much for the second act. Everyone standing is boring. Levels are interesting. Being polite to the eldest members of the cast with a chair is wonderful and very thoughtful and respectful. But when the dancing starts, if that cast member cannot be in the dance, they're still in their chair, but it's off to the side. Or they can be in the dance, they take it off and, look at me. I'm much more agile and spry than you once thought, which is a wonderful surprise. It just gives incredible depth to this play. And the focus of this very small set on this elevated round platform, because they have a little circle of life conversation. It's not quite that phrase. It's more of a traditional Greek phrase, which I'm forgetting right now. The word circle comes in, and I think it's important to sort of reflect that in your set, which won't cost much, which will be incredible because your set people will interpret this model as something amazing. And what I suggested they do, which is this, if you choose to go this direction, this set is already created by Andreas brilliantly. And I will give you his contact information. You say, that nosy Thomas, he thought that we should do this, and we would like to pay you for your set design, and go from there. And use it as is, because it has everything they need in this model. And then they don't have to pay a set designer. I mean, they're paying Andreas, but they don't have to pay a set designer to go through all these set designs and refusal set designs and back and forth. This is already created. This is a good idea. And then their people can just build it from there. Their drafts people can scale it up to life size and build it from there. And it has their set carpenters and painters concentrating on something beautiful. Just that section, which is all they need. They don't even need an interior when the door opens. Why should they? Why should they spend that money? We get too locked into building whole rooms, or in this case, a whole outdoor village, and it just isn't needed. It's not in the script. And if we think about current theater problems and money all around the world and financial downturns in different countries, we need to be more creative. This could really do it. Things like this. And my favorite artist, Andreas, would make some money, which would be very happy with, because he is brilliant, which I tell him all the time. I don't know if Greek artists get embarrassed by too many compliments from Americans, but I know the Irish do. Love watching their faces melt with embarrassment when you compliment them too much. Of which I said, if you take my idea, you are certainly brilliant and money saving. In the end, the only reason I can tell you about this is because their board voted not to have a new play. So this idea didn't happen. It didn't go very far. It basically was one long conversation with a lot of people in the office going, what a good idea. That would save money. Yes, let's do that. Would Andreas be amenable? Like, would he like to get paid? I'm sure he would. So what I thought was a very healthy conversation and maybe even a pitch for me to direct this, although it should be directed by someone who knows Greek culture much better than I do. Okay. And I'm very disappointed for the playwright and the theater. Maybe their board knows more about their financial information than I do or they do, and new plays are getting refused all the time. There's not a lot of new work coming out because it's too much of a gamble that people won't come. And if you're just watching me as a theater goer and you come to this part in the video, please find ways to go to live theater. Please. Often the cheap seats are just as good, you know? I never sat in the front row. Of course, I'm a director. I want to see the whole picture. I sit in the back row. But those are also the cheaper seats. People think they have to go to the theater and buy the best seats they can to see really up close. Why? Why? Just go. Buy your ticket. And also, I'm rather sad for those second act actors. I don't know how many were getting paid. I know there were at least half that were volunteers that just wanted to be in a show. They didn't have that much to do. I'm a little against not paying ensemble. But as far as I understood, the reason they were doing it, it was to get experience and to get free tickets for the season. So in that way, they were going to get paid. So maybe I spoke too soon. They were going to get paid in tickets for 12 shows in the season. That's pretty good. I'm sad for the younger actors who wanted to show off their talents and the older actors who should get jobs and not be put out to pasture because they're old. And, you know, I really wanted a lot of Irish people to learn how to speak in a proper accent as Greeks speaking English and learn how to dance. And, you know, not scream Opa and break dishes. Nothing like that is in this play. It's not stereotypical or making fun of Greek people. It's about community, which would have sold very well in the west of Ireland. Oops. That might have been saying too much. But yeah, I can't name the play. I can't name the playwright. I can't name the theater because this project might still happen someday. I can just encourage you to look at Andreas Rousounelis and see his brilliant work, and to look at my old video called The Perfect Slice, which talks about him, and encourage you to think about your set making and your plays in different, more creative ways. All right, that's enough for today. I'm glad you come back. I'll speak to you again. Thanks. Bye.